Hey everyone, Sean A from Melbourne, Australia. Welcome to the track walkthrough for our song Sacré, the Sunrise mix by Rïa and myself on Deep Root Tribe. Let's get into it. Alright, so let's dive into the walkthrough. This track actually started with this, which kickstarted the whole song. So Rïa sent me obviously all the parts that she'd done, including the vocals and a lot of the vocal edits. So when I started this version, I kind of got the root note and created this. Which is a cool little trick that I picked up, I think, from Production Music Live, without the effects. Oh yeah, it's just a percussion loop. But what we've got on here is a resonator, and we're basically resonating at different frequencies that are sort of in the key. And then we've got a delay, we've got a phaser, and obviously a bit of EQ, get rid of some of the low end content and get rid of that little, you can see there's a little peak there that was being a little bit annoying. So we just reduced that a little bit. And then from there, pretty much all my songs always start with a kick. So this kick here is basically made up of two elements. You've got the kick, which is a nice subby kick, nice and short. And then this cool little trick that I also picked up from Production Music Live. It's this little tiny little element that hits just before the transient of the kick. You would never pick it, you would never hear it on its own. It's so far down in the mix, but it really does help to give the kick a bit more punch. So if you have a listen, without, with, without, with. And that's just a cool little psychoacoustic trick. Next up, we've got the tom group. There's not a lot fancy going on here. We've got one lowish tom Just pretty self-explanatory, a bit of reverb. There's a little tom fill here. More of a zap than a tom, but you get the idea. Next up, we got our claps, multiple layer claps. I don't think I've ever just had a single sample for a clap in a song. So you got this one, and then this one, which has got a lot more of a pre-tail, and then together. I'm not sure if I've got any random velocity. Yeah, a little bit of random velocity, a little bit of random volume and pitch and panning for each of them. So that just helps to give the claps a little bit more of an organic, natural feel. All right, next up, rides. So we got that one, which is obviously just on the 8. Then you've got this one, which is on the offbeat. Together, obviously, together they're going to be side chained. Got rid of a lot of the low end content. Black Box is an interesting little plugin that I use occasionally. I barely touched the controls on it, but it does help to add a little bit of like smoothness to the high end, I guess. It's barely there, but it makes a difference to me. You got a bit of reverb, you got a bit of compression. Cool. Percussion group. What have we got in the percussion group? So, just a loop. I think I've had this since maybe 2009. It was in one of the first sample packs that I ever bought. Just a lot of movement. It's really cool. It's not really high in the mix. It's just more to flesh out the space in between. Then you add the hats. 16th hats, really simple. Got rid of all the low-end content on that. Got a bunch of random effect, like volume, random pitch. That just obviously helps to give it that stereo movement. And then just a shaker. Again, nothing too fancy, just a little bit of reverb at the end there. Mix is 10%, so barely any. And altogether it's like that. Alright, so next up is the bass. Pretty self-explanatory. We've got this one, which is a serum instrument that I made. The volume envelope means that it's a bit louder at the start, and it sort of sustains about half volume. I'm automating the cutoff manually so that you get that kind of growliness. You can see when it goes up to the high notes, it opens up. Compressor, you've got some echo on it. An auto filter for when we're leading into breakdowns, etc. I've chopped off a couple of the resonant frequencies just over the 100 hertz mark, and chopped off everything below 100 hertz because I do always tend to add in my own subs. Just feel that it gives me more control over the amount that's present in the mix and that sort of thing. Next, pads group. We've got a string from one of the Middle Eastern strings from Contact. It's cool because it's not just a single violin. You've kind of got that lower harmonic in there as well. Little rise pad that just kind of swells. really cool little artifact on the end there, and the way it swishes around. I've got Valhalla Shimmer on that. That's just a really lush, long reverb. Highly recommend it. I use it on so many things. Strings. There's kind of 3 parts of the strings, but this is the most... And that's just the contact session strings. And then you got the pad. This is really cool, this little silent pad that I found. It's kind of organy. It's kind of constantly evolving and changing. And it's just nice to have. So all together. Pretty. All right, piano. The piano was fun to do. Essentially, I just copied and pasted my main loop and pasted it for like 8 minutes. And then I just started playing around on the keyboard and again, Valhalla Shimmer on that. Got an auto filter for both the lows and the highs, which apparently I'm not using. I didn't want the piano to be the main focus, but it's a really cool little element that just sits in the back. You barely notice it, but it gives the listener a bit of ear candy every now and then. Mini Brute lead. This is from my Arturia Mini Brute. Obviously, it's been recorded to an audio file. Heaps going on with this. So much processing. Auto filter for the build up. You got chorus. You got OTT, compressor, echo, vintage verb. Then you got black box, another verb, EQ, compressor, and then another auto filter right at the end. For the melodic elements, like I showed you at the start, we've got the resonator on the bongo loop. And then we've got the bansuri, which is just that gorgeous like Middle Eastern Indian flute. Heaps of reverb, heaps of delay. Just super cute. Vocals. It's already kind of got a lot of effects in the vocal stem that I was sent. So just kept the vocals as they were. Auto filter, cut off the lows. There's a little bit of vocal effects here. Just some reverse reverbs and stuff like that. That's all been bounced to audio though, so I can't show you how it was made. Rolling off the low ends. And then lastly, the effects group. You know, it's just your usual combination of white noise, rises, crashes, sweeps. So that's the end of the walkthrough. I hope that you found it interesting and maybe picked up a trick or two. Don't forget to go and listen to the song in full. Links will be down below. Thanks to Rïa. Thanks to Deep Root. Peace.